today to have Mitchell Schneider with us, and Mitch, come on up. And Michael and Pam, who are dear friends, they did SAG for us last year. Michael's going to ride a little ways with us today. He's this week finishing up his 12th round of chemo, and he's up to 20 miles. I used to say that I go through life collecting friends. I think now I go through life collecting heroes. And it's a thrill to be able to hang out with guys like these and Jamie and others that ride with us. And you'll get to know more about them. For the newer folks here, Mitch and I have been lifelong friends for less than a year. Less than a year.
I can't do this anymore. I just like it.
I'll try not to sneeze.
You want to see panic, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I'll give you a very short version. When my wife was in the hospital and City of Hope ran out of platelets, literally hundreds of people came together to donate platelets for her, which saved her life. Last year, around this time somewhere, I got an email from my daughter who sent this email forwarded from her congregation that's talked about Mitch beginning a bone marrow transplant, needing platelets, and the note my daughter sent was, "Daddy, we have to do something." So last year, right here, Mitch's wife came out and did the mission moment. And we did something a little different than we've done in the past with mission moments and with honored heroes. It's always been about raising funds. It's always been about being supportive and the mission moment inspiring us. But we took it a step further and we went into action to support someone who was going through this process. And thanks to so many of you who came, some once, some twice, or more, out to City of Hope to donate blood and platelets for Mitch when he was going through his bone marrow transplant. We were able to support with him and connect with him as a team. And I am absolutely thrilled beyond words to have Mitch standing here next to me this morning, ready to address the vertical, ready to talk to us. And he also, one last thing, I asked Mitch last year just to jot down a few notes as he was going through his bone marrow transplant. You know, kind of like a journal on the days he felt like it. And he did. I'll let him tell you more about that. My great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Mitch Schneider.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really uncomfortable being in a situation where I'm an inspiration for somebody else, because you guys are an inspiration for me, especially Michael's story this morning. You guys saved my life. There are people here that I'm sure helped save my life. So I'm literally forever in your debt. My journey, my cancer journey, probably started in 2012, right there. It wasn't Fox Therapy Services. At that time, it was the office of my primary care physician, who was looking for some kind of an anomalous anemia that she couldn't figure out. You know, I was young at that time and shouldn't have been anemic, and she couldn't figure out why. So without me really knowing what she was doing, she went ahead and started sending me for various tests. Now, I owned a business in Simi Valley for many, many years, and felt good, looked relatively good. Everything seemed fine, and I didn't think anything of the tests that she was running me through, because that's what she did. It got a little hinky when she started sending me for an endoscopy and a colonoscopy, excuse me, to make sure I wasn't bleeding out internally. And when we got the results back from that, and thankfully I wasn't, she said, "You need to go somewhere above my pay grade for somebody to help me," which was down here on La Venta at Sharia Ashuri's office. If, God forbid, you ever need a hematologist, oncologist, he's a UCLA doc, and he is, I'd walk on broken glass for him. All he'd have to do, he wouldn't have to ask. In 2014, on February 14th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my doctor at that time, Sharia Ashuri, made me aware of the fact that I was in trouble. And he wasn't sure exactly what kind of trouble at that point, because I hadn't had my first bone marrow biopsy yet. For those of you who haven't had one, avoid them. They're not fun, especially when you choose not to be sedated. And I have no idea why I made that choice, but I did. I did it twice, which really shows you how intelligent I am. And we found out that I had primary myelofibrosis. In 2014, it was incurable, untreatable, and chronic, which is a nice way, a polite way of saying you're going to die. And I remember walking out of the office because my wife wasn't with me at that particular moment. We had just had a brand new granddaughter, and our first granddaughter, and she was with our daughter and granddaughter. And I remember walking out of the office and thinking to myself, well, Schneider, you got a choice. You can either crawl up in a ball and die, or you can fight this thing and try and hang out as long as you can. You certainly have one more reason than you had 9 months ago. So pay attention. For the next 4 years, probably, I worked really hard to stay as fit as I could and as healthy as I could for as long as I could, so there wasn't a problem if technology caught up. And it worked out great. Our son Ryan, who's a triathlon coach and Ironman, said I had a 4-year hall pass before I started to symptomize. And naturally, the worst of it came while we were on a family trip in Spain and Portugal. That's what you want to do, is start symptomizing in a foreign country. It's like, yeah, they have universal health care, but you don't want it. You just want to come home and take care of that. And fortunately, the technology did catch up, and I was at that point eligible for a transplant because they took the age, the maximum age for transplants, and they extended it. And that started a whole new adventure that is now 326 days away from my first transplant birthday, which is a big deal. If you're going to have problems, you generally have them in the first year. I've already had a bout with graft versus host disease and gotten through that. And I think the most important part of all of this, for me at least, has been the realization that you have that choice. Everybody has that choice. You wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, today is going to be a really good day, and you'd be surprised at how many times you're right, just by virtue of your attitude and getting through it and not paying attention to it, not dwelling on it, not saying, one of our favorite quotes is from Kobe Bryant, where he turns around and he says, I get to this stadium and I get to Staples and my knees hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurts, I don't have it, I don't feel like it. And everybody has self-doubts, everybody has fear. It's what you do with it, how you compartmentalize it, how you get past it, how you transcend it, how you refuse to capitulate to that fear. And you don't do it alone. And I think that's, if there's any message that anybody brings to you, what you do is so incredibly unselfish, just so, in the world in which we live today, it's just an amazing, reaffirming action that you take every time you guys go out and ride and raise money. I wouldn't be here if not for you or people like you. So it's really meaningful to me that you do this, and I don't miss an opportunity to send money in every time he posts something on my page and it says you guys are working to raise money for somebody else. So for me personally, and from all the people that benefit from what you do, on behalf of everyone, myelofibrosis patients, leukemia, lymphoma patients, thank you. Those of us who benefit from that are incredibly grateful for what you do, and it makes us possible. We're here for that because of that reason. So thank you very much. And you guys are the heroes, not me.
I I have
Stay safe out there.
I have the best job of all the staff. I get to talk to these heroes every week, and by the time I get here, I'm already pumped up. But Mitch, thank you for spending the time and getting out of bed, coming down and being with us. Means so much. Leon, another friend of mine, came out to ride with us today. Thank you, Leon. How was traffic? He lives right over here.
That's my street.
So it's all good.
Happy to be here.
Thank you all. Let's have a great ride.
Stay safe.
Stay safe, Kurt.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So that brings us to fundraising. Cassie, do you want to, Karen's